Share screen. Okay, let's get back to class, guys. So let's me recap everything that we have done in the morning, right? So, oh, it's empty. There's nothing here. Okay. So in the morning, there are two functions that I would say the most important functions. Okay. First is to load the data, and the second is to save the data. Okay. To load the data, we are going to use the file system object from Node.js, and I name it as fs, right? And to read a file, you do fs.read file scenes. Okay. And inside that, there will be one argument. There should be another argument, but it's optional. The required argument is the path to the file. For example, if I have a folder here, say data, and I put data station inside this folder, okay, I move it. I have to change this to data / data station, right? So it's the path that starts from this file to the data.json.
When did you create that data?
I just did it just now. Just
to, have to do that too?
No, just showing you. Okay. So if the data.json is in the same folder as the app.js, okay, move out. So you don't have to define the path like this. Just skip it. Okay, done. So this method return a buffer. It's kind of like a binary data, and you have to change that into a string. Okay, change it into a string, and then from that string, it's going to be a JSON file, and from that string, you have to convert it into a JavaScript object, which you're done in React. For example, const request const data equal to await request.json function, right? Remember that? So this JSON.path basically the same. Okay, convert it into a JavaScript object, and then we return it. So here there's another case like for some reason we cannot read the files, or the file is not an array, and we cannot return an array. So we have to use try and catch so that we can return an empty array. If something happens, something bad happened, we don't know. We cannot control that, so we need to handle the error, right? Return an empty array. That's it for reading the data. And then here's the second most important function, to save data, like to write the files, the data into the files, right? So the same thing, the first argument is the requirement. It's a require argument, and it has to be the relative path to the file that we want to save. So here is the data.json, the same file. And the second argument is going to be our data, the data that we want to write, right? So we want to overwrite everything, the whole file with the new data. And this data is an array, a JavaScript array. And before we write it, we have to change it back to a string. Okay, back to a string. Maybe like a JSON file, a JSON object, or JSON array. It's just string. And then write to data.json. That's it. And for us to do, we're gonna use both functions here. First, we need to wrap the data from our data.json, and then we add one more element into that array using push. It's normal, nothing new. And then finally, we save the whole array, the new array back to our file. Yeah. So that's the whole logic. Okay, if you want to delete, you have to do the same thing. You read the file, you find the exact element, remove it from the array, and then save the whole array back, right? Or you want to change something, you want to change some element. For example, let's say here, you want to change this to have dinner into like to have supper. then you need to find the exact element in the array and then change the value of to do and then save back. So that's the whole thing, the whole logic. And you have to do it on your own, right? That's your exercise, your assignment. So next, in the afternoon here, I will show you how we use Yarg instead of if else here, right? This will get our pen when we have multiple commands or multiple if else condition or multiple arguments here. So right now we only have like 2 or 3 arguments and it's very hard to follow. So imagine like we have 5 arguments, it's gonna be hell, right? So now we need to change everything, the whole thing here into Yarg. And what is Yarg? I will show you Yarg here. Go to the lab. Yarg, yeah. I don't know if I spell I pronounce correctly, but yeah. Yarg, yeah. Learning photo. Second day, where is it? Yes, thank you. There's a library out there. Click on it. Yarg is very famous. It's like it has 45 million downloads every week because it included in every single library that we use. And that's why there's so many downloads a week. So you need to do npm install Yargs. Copy that. Go here, install it. I may have to go away. So annoying. This bar is so annoying. Okay, go up there. Hit enter. Install it. Okay, so now here's how we learn things. Every single library we want to use, we need to go into the official page maybe, or you can go npm.js.com, read the documentation, read the description, read on how to use it, read the get started, read everything maybe. Or you just simply read the example. Depends on the complexity of the library, right? So the whole purpose here, we only use we'll use something like command here. If you actually read it, there's a bunch of different uses. For example, here. Oh, actually, I have it open here. Just go away. Example. There's a bunch of different examples that's gonna help you. We may use, I don't know, I don't remember where I got it, but so here's how I use it. So I'm gonna leave this one here. Maybe I'm gonna comment out those. I don't delete those. Keep it there. Next, we're gonna use import Yarg first. Const Yargs equal require Yarg. Okay. And down here, we're gonna call it const Yargs equal require Yargs. Right. Go down here. We're gonna add the first command, Yargs dot command. Command is a function. Inside the function, the first argument is gonna be an object. So data type in programming is very important. Function, and the first argument is an object, right? So in object you have keys. Okay, we have multiple keys. First key is gonna be command, maybe. I don't remember. If you want to know this, you need to read the documentations. So it's gonna be maybe commands. Yeah, try it. Commands. Maybe I'm gonna call it list, for example, list. Okay. And what else? Shit, I don't remember all this. Describe, to describe the command, right? So sometimes you need to tell the user, okay, this word means listing all the to-dos. Describe. listing all to do, comma, go down. And what else? We also have something called alias. Let's say I'm gonna call alias. For example, list, I'm gonna call it L, right? In short. The main option, maybe not. Okay, we have something called builder. A builder is a function. Shit, I don't remember this. Go back to the materials. There's some example given for you. Here's one way to use it. So you need all of these keys: command, describe, builder, and handler, right? So right now we don't need builder because we don't need any arguments that's following the list here. We just want to have something called list, not app.js list. So that's fine. Here's fine. Now we need a handler. Handler is a function. The value is a function. And this function gonna do what we want to do with this command, right? So right now let's test with a single console log. Console log listing on to do, and let's see what happened. Oh, sorry. You need to do one more stuff here. Yargs.pass. Mean to execute all commands here. Okay. Now I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna do run not app.js list. And
do we need to disable the process that R2, like, do we need to disable that, like we did?
You mean this, the details? Yeah, please do it. I'm gonna remove this line. It's so confusing. Okay, the console log. Okay, again, run the command again. So now you see the console log does come from line number 53, right? Yeah, 53. Okay, so this is the console log here. So right here, we don't want just to like console something. We want to actually list the whole to-dos. So I'm gonna go back to my own code here and copy all of those. Copy here. And yeah, also this, the whole thing here. Copy them, paste it down here, and uncomment them. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to save it and run it again. And I expect to see this to do. Okay, we do see it, right? It's much cleaner. All right. There's no chat. I need to ask these guys. Can you guys? Okay. Okay. Nice. How do I close? Okay. Are we clear on this?
Can I see how you render this?
Just copy and paste. I copy exactly what I type up there and put it down here. Nothing different.
What's the last command? What was the last one? Yards pass.
Oh, this one is like to register all the commands we define here. Here we only define the command, right? And here we will register the command. All right. So now you may want to ask like, oh, there's one thing I want to show you. You can actually, no. Let's say, what if I want to do this? Let's see what happened. Nothing happened. Oh shit. Oh, so this alias here does nothing. It doesn't understand here. Right, sorry about that. Remove that. Again, list. Right. If you want to add more commands, like for example, add a new to do, that we will have above here, up here. So I want to add more command, like add. Let's do it here. Yards dot command again. Yards dot command object. Here we register a new command. Command add. Okay. Basically, we're gonna be copy everything here, but let's do it one by one. Describe. Add a new to do. Comma. Enter. So now for adding a new to do, we need the like a couple of more arguments. For example, the to do body and the status, right? So to do that, we can use the builder properties. Builder is an object as well, and in here we can add as many subsequent arguments as we want. The first one I'm going to add is to do, an object as well. To do is here is this to do. The second, the third argument here. Okay, so to do we have. I forgot how to do it. Go back here. So to do we have describe, demand option, and type. I will explain what these are. Describe is a description of this argument, right? So I'm going to say to do contain, right? Demand option is like, is it required or not? It means, is it required or not? Is it argument required or not? Can someone answer me? Is it required or not?
No.
Of course, yes, of course. To add a new to do, the content of to do is a must, right? You have to provide the content, or else it doesn't mean anything. So we need true here. Is it true here? Yeah. And okay, what else? Type. What's the type? The value type. Like the type of this argument should be a string, right? It's a body of something, so it has to be a string. Right, and that's it for here. You may add one more field here. Alias. For example, I'm gonna call it T. Right, and here, go down here, I'm gonna add a handler, which is, it's not handler. What do we call it? Yeah, handler. I forgot the comma here. Okay, comma handler is a function. Okay, and by calling this function, we automatically receive an argument called whatever. Yeah, but that argument will capture all the arguments that the following arguments here. For example, I have list here, and then after list I have var equals something. Hello. So var will become the arguments here. Or to do here, we can change to do. Sorry, it's to do. We didn't register var as a argument. We register to do as another argument. So it's to do equal to hello. And I'm going to console log everything to you. Console log to see what asks. I'm going to hit enter. Wait. Oh, it's list. It's not list. Sorry. It's add. Add, and then to do equal to hello. So now you see the console log on line 73, right? You see everything. You see the command add. You see the argument called to do. We see hello, right? The value hello here. The name of the argument is what we define right here on line 65. And we also have an alias T. So instead of doing like add hyphen to do equal hello, I can do something shorter like T equal hello. Same thing, right? So that's the purpose of alias. You don't need to do hyphen to do. You can just do -t. Right. So to do is not enough, right? We need one more. Status. Scroll up here. We need one more status. So add more key here. Status equal an object as well. Same thing. Describe status of your to do. I will show you why we need all of these. Why we need all of these restriction. Okay, the main option, is it required or not? It's not being required, yeah. If you don't provide any value, it's going to be false by default. And if you give the value of true, then it's going to be true. So the main option is not false. And type is a boolean. Boolean. Remember, this has to be a inside quotation mark, double quotation mark, quotation mark. And alias, let's say s. What else? Default value is going to be false, right? If you don't provide, it's going to be false. If you provide, it's going to be the value of whatever you provide, right? So let's save it and try to run it here. I'm going to run the same command as earlier. And you should see another key, another two keys. Status and s, which have the values of false. Here we go, right? Okay. Too small, make it bigger. So now we have everything we want. Now we need to call the function up here. Where is it? Okay, here. Very simple, copy that, go down, put it in. Instead of console log, I'm gonna call that function. And I'm gonna call to do and status inside the Yargs. So I'm gonna destructure it and I'm gonna call to do status. Simple. And you may return some messages like finish adding something like that. I'm gonna call the function again, that command again, and let's check it. Right now I only have one to do, which is have dinner, and the value is shit, go away, and the value is true. So I'm gonna call t equal to have supper, and the status is not done, so I'm gonna skip it, hit enter, finish adding, and you actually see something here, right? Have supper, status false. And this one, this time it's a boolean, it's not a string, right? It's a boolean, it's a real boolean. So right here something wrong because in my code I didn't convert it true to string. It's just a string, by default it's a string. That's why you see a string here. So now I'm gonna delete directly in my database. Normally you don't do that in real life, but you can, just for practice you can do it. I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna add a new to do, for example, finish my homework tonight, right? And you can add the status as well. False, not done. Okay, here we go. Cool. So we successfully changed everything from if else into Yargs. And this way it's more clear, right? To follow and fix everything if you want. And you also have some kind of like validations as well. Oh, I forgot to mention why we need to do this, because if I provide a wrong, for example, I only provide like this command. I run this command without any arguments after add. you will see a helper like this saying, okay, you need these arguments in order to run this command. Like for example, this is to do or t, and that's contain the body. The value has to be a string. So it's very clear. You see everything on the board here, on the terminal. And the status you can provide or not, but it's not required. It's a boolean and it's not required, and there's the default value false, right? Everything is here. And actually say you're missing a requirement element which is to do. So from this, I know that, okay, I need to provide to do equal to go swimming in the morning. Okay, finish. Right, done. Right. So if you get bored of reading the black and white text like this, you can add a color to it. Right? I'm going to add a color using another library. Do you have question? Let me add the another library to decorate our text here first. Okay, what is this? There's another library called mbm.js.com. Another library called Chalk. Also another very famous library. Like 47 million download. Man, that's a lot. Okay, we're gonna install it. npm install Chalk. And here's, if you read the example, it's actually tell you how to use it. For example, console log, then chalk.blue, and the string that you want to log. Right. So let's try and use it. I'm gonna use, oh yes, of course. Copy and paste, copy cons, chalk, and paste here. And then let's call it here, instead of console log listing to-dos, I'm gonna give it some color. It looks so boring. I'm gonna give some color, console log, chalk, dot, maybe green, dot bold. So I want it to be in green color and bold. So here's the content that I want to bring. And that's it. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna list not app.js list, right? There we go. Listing not to-dos in green and bold. Very simple. Okay. So now questions. Hey, you have watched everything. So now can you ask like a couple of questions?
Yeah.
All right, try to avoid asking those kind of questions. Like you need to say why it's not working, why, what's the error you encounter, something like that. Instead of it doesn't work, right?
And how come at the end of the online, at the end of the data.json, when I add the to-do and stuff, it says like, it adds another, like there's to-do status, and then online, it also adds $0 and then app.js.
$0 and app.js.
I saw it on yours too. If you
Yeah.
scroll up on the terminal. Yeah, at the,
Oh, this console log here.
yeah, at the end it says $0 app.js.
Yeah, this is what I console log before to show you the value inside the Yargs, right? I had console log here. Let me show you. Before this, I had a console log called Yargs, right? So I bring everything inside the object, but we don't really need to know all these. We need to target to-dos and status only. We don't care about these. Okay, it's okay. We have so many things that we don't need to use. It's okay. Okay. Questions? Like it's okay if your code doesn't work, you can say what's the error you have. Function add, the whole thing here. The reason why we need all of these keys is like we define the rules, the constraints, as well as the like it's kind of like the helper here, right? List, for example, I gave a wrong command. When I hit enter, nothing happened because there's no short command. If I had add and I don't provide any arguments, it will show me what error I'm running to and what's the best options for me. For example, I missed these arguments, to do arguments. I can also add one more argument called status, but it's not required, so I don't have to provide. So that's why we need all of these. It also provides the validation, the type validation for us. For example, if I add a to-do equal to hello, for example, and I also provide another the status argument. For example, s equal to another string, haha. For example, I expect to see an error. Shit. So haha by default is true. If a string is not empty, it's true. And that's bad. Let's see. I'm not gonna close this. Don't save. And open the file again. Yeah. Oh. Haha. Wait, it's false.
How did you make it go from?
Oh, because it had by default. Shit. Sorry.
How did you make it go from horizontal to vertical?
Oh, formatted. Depends on your laptop. Right click. Right click. No, Alicia, just right click it. Right click. Look at here. Look on the board here and see this.
Oh, okay.
And you also have a hotkey next to it. You also have a hotkey. So it depends on your laptop.
What does that do?
It's format to something that you can understand. You can read. Before it was like this. It's very hard to read, right? And format it like this. And it's actually you can change hotkey as well, but so that's why it's not very precise to say Command Shift I and Command Shift U something. It depends. Okay. Oh, the reason why it still recognize my booleans here is because I have a default value of false. What's it, Smith?
So what is the syntax of the alias? Minus and then the alias?
Yeah.
Do you need the minus?
Yeah, you only need one hyphen, right?
No, the minus, I mean, add minus t.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the alias, and you just add to do t.
Yeah, you have two options. Hyphen to do.
Oh.
Or hyphen t.
Why the hyphen?
Huh?
Why the hyphen?
Why the hyphen?
Why? Because it's requirement.
Yeah, it's how this tool is built. So if you want to use a library, you have to follow it. It's their rules. And actually, every command line tool is the same. Right? Is it clear? No? What's not clear? Everything? Let's go over everything from top to bottom, right? Top down. Here the other three packets that we will use. We don't need to use chalk, but to make our terminal looks lively, we may give it some colors. And let's start with the load data and the save data function. It's clear. We use fs and read file seed in order to read the content of the file, and it returns us a binary data buffer, and then we need to change it into something that we understand, right? So we have two string, change to string, but we understand it, but the compiler doesn't, like not JavaScript doesn't. So we need to do one more step. We pass the string into JavaScript object, okay, then return it. We also have to handle the case that for some reason one of the three lines here failed. We also want to return an empty array, right? And then for the save data function, it's very simple. We just need to change the method from read to write, right? And the first argument is the same, but for writing, we need to write something. So we need an object, a target, and that's the data. So we need to stringify it because we cannot write a JavaScript object directly into our JSON file. We need like stringify it. It's the opposite way of doing this. So that's for saving. And to modify the data, we need to read the data first. We need to draft it first, change it, modify it, remove something, or add something in it, and then we save it, right? We have this part, okay? Then now I'm gonna remove everything here. We don't need the if else here. It looks so confusing, right? We can move them. Okay, so now we create command. This is how we create multiple commands, right? For example, this command list, this for command arg, the name of the command, then descriptions for that command, and the handler. Handler is like when you run that command, we want to do something. That's called the handler. Handler is a function. In that function, we automatically receive all the arguments that the user provides. Right here, I can do args here, but I don't actually need it. Sorry, not here.
What is art?
It's like something that we receive from the terminal, right? Here. You can say anything like blah, blah, blah. For some B, it will not understand B though. But let's say I'm gonna say B. I'm not gonna hit enter yet. I'm gonna say console log. Shit. It's not here. Sorry. Let's go back to list. Let's change everything. Ooh, what do you do? Okay, save it. I'm gonna run another command called let's say node.js list, and I'm gonna provide a bunch of arguments. Okay. A equal to blah 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 blah, and B equal to hello, and C equal to nope. Now I'm gonna modify my list command. So,
why are you doing the double hyphen?
so it's the basic one. I don't have the alias for those. It's a must that you have to use double hyphen, right? It's a must. Default. You have to use it. It's default.
But do we have to have args inside that function? So handler.
If you need to use it, you need to go define it here.
But do we need to have args inside the parentheses?
Parentheses. What do you mean? This?
Do we have to write args inside, or can we just leave it as empty?
You can leave it empty if you don't call it inside the body. So here is the body of the function, right? If you want to use it inside the function, inside the body of the function, you need to define it first, like this. If you don't use it, you can just leave it empty, because on line 36 here, I want to console log it. That's why I have to define it first, right? So I'm going to save my code and run this command to see what happened. Right? You see the argument as well, right? You see all the arguments that you provide, A, B, and C, right? A, B, and C. You see them all. But
What did you say what the $0 is?
just something, don't worry about it. Right? It's just the name of the files that you're working on. There's some hidden properties that you need to use. Say, let's go back. But you actually see this, but it's not very reliable because you haven't defined any name of the keys or any restriction. For example, it has to be a string, or is there any default value, or is it required or not? And to do that, you need to have a builder, and the builder will help us to have some like restriction on those arguments. For example, to do here, it has to be a string, and you can describe that argument as well, right? So that's the benefit of having the builder. Right, so that's it. So your next job, your assignment will be on the features here. I would say, let me see the features. Okay, there's one of those. Let's do them. Okay, a hint to update something, to update an element inside the array, you need the index, right? Or the ID. So here you can use index, right? Just give it one more key. For example, I'm gonna add one more key. I'm gonna call IDX, and let's call IDX here. Comma IDX, and I'm gonna call IDX here. And I'm gonna list everything. List everything. Did hit enter? Okay, here we go. We have the IDX, the index 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
It knows the index by itself. It knows the index by itself. No need to define.
What's the argument for each here?
Oh, for each. It's like map.
Yeah, it's kind of like map, but it doesn't return anything, right? So we have the first argument is the element inside the array. The second argument is the IDX, the index. So we can bring the IDX here.
Why is the IDX outside the bracket?
All right. Back to JavaScript again. It used to be like this element, right? Remember this? No. What do you call it? E?
Event.
No, it's not event. E is an element. L or some language they call it V. But here, instead of using only L, I use the whole object. I destructure it, destructure the object, and I target the only two keys, which is to do and status.
So why doesn't index go before the object?
Okay, good question. That's how for each is built. Like there's a rules for using it. Like the first argument is always the element. The second argument is always the index. The third argument is the array that you want to look. But you barely use the third argument. So you only focus on the element and the index. Okay. Keep asking. Yeah, I like it.
Wow.
So have we done? Oh shit! There are questions from some guy here. Item. Oh, he answered your question. Item. Oh, you actually usually call it item? Yes, correct. Right. I think that's it for the walkthrough. Yeah, a couple of things.
So that means we don't actually have to build a UI.
Yeah.
Everything is done within terminal.
Yes. For today. Right. So if you don't have any question, I'm gonna end the video.